Hello, welcome to the September meeting of the Mayor's Commission for Citizens with Disabilities. I am not Mark Smith. I am Megan Walls. I'm the vice chair of the commission. Mark is unable to join us today. We have some commission members joining us virtually as well as our speaker today. First, I'm going to look at the right page. So welcome to our television audience, all of our guest members, our interpreter. The meetings are rebroadcast on 7 p.m. Tuesday evenings, channel 18, also live streamed and up on the YouTube channel. The video of this meeting can be viewed at the Disabilities Commission website at www.cityofomaha.org. You would then click on where it says Mayor's Office and then click on Disabilities Commission and view videos there. The Commission's mission is to promote quality of life, accessibility, and equality in all aspects related to the City of Omaha on behalf of and in cooperation with the citizens of Omaha who experience disabilities. In our role in this commission, we advise the mayor, the city council, city department heads, and other City of Omaha personnel on issues of access, representation, employment, housing, and quality of life affecting city citizens with disabilities and their respective families. We also serve as a resource for Omaha citizens with disabilities and their families to be able to express concerns and resolutions regarding issues affecting them. We publicize to the citizens of Omaha the role of the Mayor's Commission for Citizens with Disabilities and the resources available to assist citizens with disabilities, employers, housing representatives, business owners, engineers and architects, and others who have a role in bettering the life of Omaha citizens. We also promote awareness to the general public on the capabilities, needs, and desires of citizens with disabilities. We publicly recognize the efforts of employees, employers, businesses, schools, organizations, and others who have demonstrated outstanding support of programs and services for disabled citizens. We serve as advocates for accessibility issues and implement plans and projects to improve services for citizens with disabilities. And finally, we review and implement plans and projects for advocating services for citizens with disabilities. We will try to save some time to share any announcements of events or upcoming activities that you all may be interested in, so have a pen and paper handy. We are going to do some brief introductions. We do not have a quorum here. We have not for a while. As you can see, I am by myself, but we have a few people joining us virtually. And minutes to previous meetings, although noted, are not official, so we have not voted on any of those either. I will start introductions. My name is Megan Walls. As I mentioned, I am the vice chair of the Mayor's Commission for Citizens with Disabilities. I also work in disability services as a consultant for inclusion and accessibility through assistology, and serve individuals in a wide range of disability categories. So here to represent interests on a broader scale. Lisa, could you start?
Yes, I'm Lisa Sherman. I am the pastor at Faith Christian Church. I also serve on the State of Nebraska Emergency Management Advisory Council and also the State of Nebraska Critical Incident Rapid Response Team.
Thank you. Rachel, can you go next?
Yes, thank you, Megan. My name is Rachel Johnson. I work as a service coordinator with DHHS with individuals with developmental disabilities. I also live with a spinal cord injury and have worked with individuals with traumatic brain injuries and spinal cord injuries. So I'm here to represent the needs of those groups.
Wonderful. And Stephanie?
I'm here representing those individuals.
Thanks, Stephanie. You were off mic a little bit. Could I have you repeat that? a little better.
I'll come closer to my computer. Is that better? Great. I'm Stephanie Scavell. I'm with Outlook Nebraska. We provide employment opportunities and enrichment opportunities for those who are blind and visually impaired. And I'm here representing that population.
Wonderful. And just one quick kind of housekeeping thing for today with our presenter, for those of us here. If you have a question and decide to ask a question, please reintroduce yourself as you ask your question, so Paulette will know who to address with her answer. I'm really excited to welcome Paulette. Going to slaughter your last name, Monty?
Monty. That's right.
Monty, got it. She's a program manager with Outlook Enrichment, and she's going to share about that organization and services and give us some great information. So I will let you take over, Paulette.
Okay. Let me see if I can share my screen. Oops. Is it showing my slides?
Yes, it is.
Great. Okay. It comes up on different screens, so I'm not always sure. Give me a second. Well, it's a great pleasure to be here today. As I was listening to you guys talking initially, I added another slide in here based on the conversation earlier. So my name is Paulette Monty. I am actually the executive director of Outlook Enrichment as of this spring. So I'm new to the position, but I've been with Outlook for a while. And Outlook is actually now the third agency for the blind that I have worked in, and have worked in both general disabilities and in vision loss. And I'm a certified deafblind specialist. So please feel free to answer questions or ask questions. I do not see what happens in the chat, so it works to my advantage if you just ask the question. It's pretty informal as a presenter, so please feel free to ask questions along the way. And if I were to ask you to think about if you know somebody with a vision loss, that verbiage may not be familiar to you. You may not readily think of somebody who has vision loss. But if I ask you, if you have a family member, friend, or maybe a neighbor who has any of these eye conditions, such as cataracts, myopia, macular degeneration, glaucoma, or diabetic retinopathy, the chances are you may know somebody in your community or in your own family that may have experienced one of these eye conditions at some point in their life. Maybe cataracts, they had cataracts at one time, and they had the cataract removal surgery, and so it may not be necessarily impacting the individual's life at this time, but they may have had some specific eye change conditions as they were progressing, or the cataracts was what we call ripening in the eye. About 4.2 million individuals in the United States over the age of 40s will be diagnosed as being legally blind at some point in their lives. In our metropolitan area here, it's about 15,000 based on the last Census Bureau. So that's a pretty large percentage. We are anticipating that these numbers will grow substantially as our population continues to age. There is also a higher percentage of females experiencing vision loss than there are to males experiencing vision loss. And that primarily relates to how much longer women are living presently than men in the populations. Listening to the conversation, I added this slide in. It allows us to look, this is data that is from the American Optometric Academy of Ophthalmology. It shows you that in certain specific cultural and ethnicities that there are certain predispositions to vision loss. And if we look at in the white Caucasian non-Hispanic population, for macular degeneration, there is a very high percentage of 46% of individuals who are white and Caucasian who may experience macular degeneration over the course of their lifetime. As we look at other population groups, such as in African Americans, there is a higher predisposition to have cataracts as the main etiology in that population. So there's some genetic predispositions. There's also cultural predispositions. When we look at diabetic retinopathy, that's related to diabetes, some of those eye conditions may directly relate to some of the cultural things that they're eating, how they live their lifestyle. So there are some things that as an agency that we need to watch for. It also helps us to also look at areas for outreach in our community of where we need to reach out to provide education and awareness to the community that our services are available to individuals who come from a wide variety of backgrounds. Some of the indicators of vision loss that we typically see, and this is something that any of you who's working with somebody, whether you're a service provider, whether you're a family member, these are some of the key things to start looking for. One of the major things that we see in this field is as somebody's vision changes, you will start to see the individual slowly pull away from doing activities or interacting with family members and doing things in the community. So some of the first indicators that we might see is somebody, whether you go to a meeting, they may defer some of those writing tasks to somebody else, or ask you, could you write that down for me so I could reference it later? A person may no longer have the ability to read printed text. So maybe they stop reading books. Maybe you're in a restaurant with them and they have a hard time reading the menu. So other types of things to look for are environmental factors. Maybe you've been to a restaurant 100 times with this family member, and that time that you go out, you may notice that they're bumping into the table or the chairs, or if they've been to your house, haven't been to your house in a while, you may notice that they're having a harder time navigating the environment. Some of these actions may indicate that there's something more going on and may be good indicators that there is a vision loss. Other times products, things may look similar. We've had a number of people who have started to lose their vision, especially grocery shopping, where certain items look the same, and you definitely don't want to mix up that Preparation H bottle for the toothpaste. And we have had that happen. So I use that as an example that sometimes there are things as vision changes that can create complications with doing daily tasks. Outlook Enrichment is part of Outlook Collaborative. And Outlook Collaborative is a grouping of 5 different organizations that initially we were all under the roof of Outlook. You might be familiar with Outlook, but Outlook was created to provide employment opportunities and business models for the Ability One program, which is a national program that provides manufacturing opportunities. And we are required by law through the Ability One program to have a certain percentage of our staffing that will directly handle products, be individuals with vision loss. With that program that initially started, there was a need to show that there's more to life beyond just work. So enrichment programming was created as part of the Outlook, and 3 years ago, we separated and became our own 501c3 organization. And our role with enrichment is to provide more of the community and social services, rehabilitative aspects to the community. So Outlook was founded in 2000. We have over 60 associates. We are the largest employer of persons who are blind and visually impaired in the Nebraska and 5-state region, including Iowa, North and South Dakota, and some other states surrounding us. We do paper converting, and 75% of the manufacturing team are individuals who are legally blind. In my department, in Outlook Enrichment, we are at 80% of the staff are individuals who are visually impaired. In addition to both Outlook and Outlook Enrichment, Outlook Collaborative also has 2 other organizations within it. We have Outlook Properties, which owns the area that we are currently housed in, and we are expanding our space into Crown Court Conceal building, which will be converted into offices for like-minded organizations and other agencies serving the disabled community. We also have Outlook Business Solutions, and they provide marketing, sales, accessibility testing, and virtual assistant services to both agencies serving the blind, but also mainstream community organizations and businesses. Our goal is to empower people living with vision loss with the skills and tools that they need to achieve their goals. We believe strongly in this philosophy, and we highly follow the independent living program philosophy in all of our programs. We want to see people live in the least restricted environment that they possibly can, and to be successful in reaching their own goals and objectives. So when an individual comes into our programs, they may have an idea of what type of service that they may be able to benefit from, but until they know and get a full understanding of what all we can offer, we tend to do an assessment period. Usually we take about 3 sessions, and we try to get a really good feel for what the individual's needs are before we recommend any goal. That also allows us to look and see if we need to step back from what their initial goal is. Say they are interested in learning how to use Microsoft Word to further their employment goals. Well, if they need to step back and do more typing skills services and learning how to do that more efficiently, then we would look at stepping back the goal and working on that prior to moving them forward in Microsoft Word, for example. Our adaptive training technology program allows our Outlook trainers, we do have 2 adaptive tech trainers who can work with individuals on a variety of services. This could be learning how to use an accessible, use their cell phone and all the capabilities of it, or it may be learning how to utilize different adaptive equipment such as screen magnification. It could be learning how to use Braille with the computer. Could be also learning how to, if they want to stay in employment or start in employment, if we have a transition age youth, perhaps, would allow us the opportunity to work with them towards obtaining goals. We do have specialized curriculums that have all been written in-house that allow us to train somebody on all the Microsoft Office suites, and that does include Teams. We did create a curriculum specifically for Teams because there are some aspects of Teams that is not accessible to somebody using a screen reader. So we've had to create workarounds and tips for navigating within the Teams environment. We also provide assessments, and we'll look at a wide variety. Somebody may come in, they may not know what type of adaptive equipment they need, and we will work with them and evaluate them on a wide variety of low-tech to high-tech products to determine what the best fit for them is. And we also can provide, we work with the Adaptive Technology Partnership to help identify what funding might be available to the person, or if they are a client of Vocational Rehabilitation Services or the Commission for the Blind and Visually Impaired, we may be able to put them in touch with some of those other agencies that they may not have previously been aware of. We also offer a monthly Tech It Out session. This is all done by Zoom. As you probably discussed in your meetings, transportation is a huge barrier. So we do offer a lot of our services remote. Any of our adaptive technology services can either be in person or remote, and you'll see this across some of our other program areas as well. So the Tech It Out, there may be a monthly topic on it that allows them to, for example, with the rollout of the new UMO app, this is something that we are doing a presentation on to help walk consumers through the app and how it works and how to set up a user login. And that will be this month's presentation coming up in October. We also offer independent living skills training. These are, again, Zoom workshops that are on a variety of topics to help people. It doesn't matter what level of vision loss that they have. They may be new to vision loss, or they maybe have had vision loss all their life, but they are experiencing some changes in the vision. So the topics may range from safe cooking techniques to labeling and organization tips, or even some ideas and suggestions on medication management tools and aids. And those are typically the second Wednesday of the month. We are hoping that at the beginning of the new year that we will also be offering in-home services. We also offer support groups, and our support groups meet every Tuesday from 6 to 7 p.m. And this gives individuals an opportunity. It doesn't matter what the vision loss is, how long that they have had it. For many, it's an opportunity to socially engage with other individuals to talk about some of the struggles they are experiencing in their daily to-day interactions. Could be how to interact with an employer, how to advocate for themselves, or group members will share some of their experiences and what things are frustrating them. We also work on mental health and overall well-being. So there's a wide variety of topics. The group usually directs the topics for the group, and then we proceed from there. We also offer employment training. Some of this ties into some of our other programs. So we do adaptive computer skills development from basic to advanced skills, navigating employment sites, assisting individuals with filling out some of the online forms on many of the sites may not be the most accessible for individuals who have vision loss. So we work with them, with our consumers to help learn the skills to navigate sites. And with more and more technology shifting over to websites that could be accessing electronic information such as pay stubs, bank account information, those kinds of things, that all plays into our adaptive technology program. So we also provide resume writing tips and suggestions, can provide mock interviews, as well as understanding what the different employment regulations and reasonable accommodation processes are, as well as refer out to a number of other resources like the Job Accommodations Network, or working with some of the disability technical assistance centers and what types of information that are available to them through those resources. We have a pretty expansive adaptive recreation and leisure program. This provides programs with both youth activities, adult activities, as well as arts and cultural leisure activities. Some of the things that we have done throughout the year have been, in the winter months, we try to do indoor activities such as family bowling opportunities, which are available to anyone who has in the family who has vision loss. So sometimes we have a parent who's visually impaired, but their child may be sighted. And so we don't want to limit opportunities for that family to go out to the community to do an activity. So we offer throughout the year 4 activities specifically for families where just one individual in the family must be an individual living with vision loss. But we also offer regular monthly youth activities for teens and young adults, as well as adult activities and some social activities specific to adults, such as our White Cane celebration, which is coming up in October, that allows people the opportunity to come together in a social setting, because we understand that not everybody has the capabilities to do a ropes course, for example, which is what this last weekend's activity was. So we do try to provide a wide variety in the activities that we do to the community. We also have an arts and cultural program. In the arts and cultural program, we provide audio described cultural events, such as this weekend I was at Descendants, put on by the Rose Theater. And so we hand out the equipment to patrons who are unable to see what is happening on the stage. And the audio describers speak into a remote transmitter that allows somebody who is visually impaired to be on the receiver end and receive additional information about what is happening on the stage. And it could be additional information about costuming, could be information about the action on the scene. So those types of things really allow the person to have the full experience that somebody who may be sighted going to the event would additionally have. We also have a lot of different immersion experiences. Some of these may be in performing arts, or it could be poetry or other type of activities that allow the person to also experience a performing art from a different perspective. We also have a community education program. This allows us to do immersion activities, tours, and demonstrations, facilitated discussion to look at different and creative ways. One of the things that we have been doing is we have different kits that have day-to-day equipment that somebody who is visually impaired would utilize in the home or on the work setting. And the participants are given our simulators so that they have the opportunity to see some of these tasks, whether it's money management from a different perspective, and trying to read your Cox bill, for example, and how you might do some of those tasks of daily living. So it gives an individual an opportunity to look and see what types of aids could be used to allow the person to continue to do the task. So we also want to make sure that people understand how different levels of vision loss impact an interaction within that group. So some of the participants and for the immersion activities may have a blindfold, which would simulate having no vision. And we see a lot of changes in how the team members will interact with that person who has no vision. So that's a great experience that we do offer to the community. Some things to consider when interacting with somebody who is visually impaired. A lot of times we don't think about identifying ourselves when somebody enters a room. But somebody who is visually impaired may not notice whether a person is coming or leaving from a room. It's really important to let somebody know that you are leaving the room. Oftentimes, and we have it even happen here at Outlook, somebody may say, okay, I'm gonna go, but the person may not always hear them. So you need to tap the individual, make sure that you have their attention, speak to them directly, and let them know what is going on in the room. Other things that to keep in mind is environments change. So it's important to give specific instructions and directions to the individual, not the chair is over there, but the chair is about 2 feet to your right, is a little more information that allows the person to get a clear understanding of where the chair is. Other times the chair is over here and the person may stand directly behind the chair so that the audio information that our visually impaired person receives is giving a better localization of where to come or where to sit. Giving an accurate picture, describing what is going on in a room, in a setting, or a restaurant is a good example. It may point out where different features are. For example, if there's a restaurant and they're hearing water, you may take their hand and indicate where the sound is coming from or how the room layout is set up. For example, if I were to come to a new environment with one of our other team members who's totally blind, I might describe to them where the podium is, where the presentation that our slides would be coming up on, and how the room would be set up. If you see somebody struggling on a street corner, in a store, or other environment, it's always polite to introduce yourself and ask the person if they need assistance, but don't presume that they need assistance. And I had this happen to me too, especially standing on street corners. Somebody may come up and grab your arm to try to take you across the street, presuming that you may need assistance because you're standing there with either a dog guide or a white cane, and may become intrusive to the person's personal space. So also don't be upset if somebody declines your assistance. I may say, thank you, I appreciate your assistance, but it's not necessary. Maybe a comment you receive back from the person. And always respect that individual's wishes to decline assistance. Guiding somebody who is blind. Allow the person who is guiding to hold the elbow close. You want the person to hold your elbow so that their hand is touching your center of gravity. By doing this, it allows us to get more information on how you are turning or changes in elevation as your body moves up and down. In narrow spots or tighter spots, such as going through a doorway or in a stairwell where you may need the person to be behind you. Grocery aisles and store aisles are a great example of this because you will have displays and other oncoming people coming towards you with their carts. But you want to put your arm gently behind your back. That allows the person to understand that you're in a narrow path, and they will move their hand slightly to the center of your forearm so that they can follow your body movements as you move through the shortened or tight areas. Give them additional information that are verbal cues, such as you're coming up on a curb. Also, prior to curbs or stairs, you may want to pause for a second so you indicate that you're going up or down a set of stairs. For many people who are low vision, they may not see the changes in the stairs. They may look flat to them. So having some indication that there is going to be a change in the elevation is really important so that we avoid any accidents. And then always inform individuals where you're turning left or turning right, some of those directions about going straight ahead. So those are some key points when interacting with consumers or people in the community, depending upon your different roles. So that gives us a good introduction. Sorry. And then my contact information, Paula Monti, Executive Director of Outlook Enrichment. My direct line number is 531-365-5320, or you can reach me via email at pmonti@outlooken.org. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Paulette. You know, I've worked in this industry for a number of years, and I still was taking notes and jotting down some really interesting points, insightful points when you talked about interacting and guiding individuals who are blind. So I appreciate you including that information. Does anyone have any questions? Lisa or Rachel?
I don't have any questions. This is Lisa. Paulette, I just wanted to thank you for your presentation. I have a son who is blind, and so I just gleaned all the information that I could from him. He's just transitioning into adulthood. But thank you for all the work that you do in our community.
Well, thank you, Lisa. And you know, if you ever have questions, please feel free to reach out. Transition is one of those very challenging ages because the roles are really changing. And the young adult, we do have transition services. especially for somebody depending upon what the goal is post-graduation. If they're going into the workforce, we have some mentoring programs where we may be able to connect them to somebody in the community who is doing that type of job. But we can also help the family to understand all the changes from, a lot of things are going to change. He may be applying, or she may be applying for Social Security, now that they're a young adult. Or the Medicaid and Medicare may change to them as opposed through a parent. So there's a lot of things that really do go into it that are new, and understanding what college expectations are. And I did work for the University of Iowa for a number of years as one of their accommodation facilitators. So we did work with transition age youth coming in, and it's a whole different world. Mom and dad are not there to assist you, and you have to learn to become your own self-advocate. So kudos to you, because it's a real transition is a real trying time on both ends to learn different aspects.
Paulette, this is Megan. Can you speak a little bit to, and high level, because I'm sure there's a lot of information to provide, but with regard to cost for services or how services are funded for individuals in some of those different programs?
Sure. For the majority of our programs, there is no cost to the consumer, with the exception of some of our arts and recreational programs. Most of those will have a $10 fee, which is nowhere near the actual cost of the program, but it allows the consumer to have the opportunity to put something towards the program. We are primarily funded through grants and individual donations. On average, the average hour of service that we provide with specialization is about $55 an hour, is our true cost. That cost is not passed on to the consumer. For most of our programs, we do actively go out and seek grant funding, individual donors. We get some funds from Outlook Properties that help sustain our programs, but the majority of the programs are at no cost to the consumer.
Wonderful, thank you. So question around, so you mentioned with I think it was with the technology training, that, in working with the individual, figuring out if they're linked up with Voc Rehab or another program to support, the recommendations. If let's say my parent is losing their vision and I need someone who can help them relearn how to use the cell phone, or relearn how to interact to order their groceries online, is that built in? Is that a service that, if they're not linked to another program, that they pay for, or is that built into the model for the community?
That would be we have a number of consumers that receive services through, for example, the Commission for the Blind, but they also receive services through us. And it's up to the consumer. The consumer can receive services from whoever they want to receive the service from. There is nothing that says that they have to receive services from the Commission or us. At times, we may do a release of information so we can share information back and forth with an outside entity. But the consumer does not ever have to be a consumer of the Commission to receive services from us. And we have a lot of community-based consumers that may choose not to go to the Commission for the Blind to receive services. The advantage to most of the consumers that come through our door is the frequency at which they may engage with one of our team members. So, for example, in our adaptive technology program, usually a participant will have 2 classes a week with one of our trainers, and that can be either remote or in person. And so we allow for a lot more frequency to touch and interact with the consumer in most of our programs. So the support group meets weekly. That's open to anyone in the community. And we do have people who are participating in the commission programs that will also participate in our support group or have maybe been a consumer in the past of the commission, but they need to continue to engage with others in the community for that peer support aspect. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, that was wonderful. I have one more kind of two-part question, sorry. The topic of the October Tech It Out, and then along with that, if there are other upcoming events that you would want the community to be aware of.
For our October, it will be October 20th. Will be Mickey, who is on our team, was one of the testers for the new pilot program, the program that's going to be looking at the fares that's going to be used with the city buses and with Moby. And I evaluated the app as well. So we looked at what some of the challenges somebody who may be experiencing going to the website might be. One of the issues with the website, for example, is it's not a high contrast website. So there were a lot of errors that would arise with the visual contrast for somebody who's low vision. For example, some areas were bright green text with white or gray text with white. So we looked at providing information on how to navigate within the site when you have a challenge with reading it. We also looked at some of the aspects of the mobile app, that the mobile app is a little bit more from a low vision perspective, user friendly than the actual website is. And we looked at all the different aspects of the site. So those are things that we go through for when we do a Tech It Out session. We talk about some of the challenges they may encounter with it and how we got around it. And then we also work with those community partners. So we've been working, and Stephanie chime in here, his name is Jason over at Moby, to work with some of the issues that we have seen, whether it's riding the actual vehicle or things with the app itself or the website that we have encountered. And we alert them to some of those issues as we see them, but we do testing for some of our community partners as well when they need us to look or evaluate different programs. We also work with the State Adaptive Technology Partnership, as well as I serve on their advisory board, and I also serve on the State Independent Living Council as well. So we also do a lot with the different state entities. Nationally, we do a lot with the Aging and Vision Resource Coalition, the National Aging and Vision Loss National Coalition. And so one of the things that we are working on a national level, and I chair the one of the best practices committees, is working on a aging toolkit that can be disseminated to service providers so that they are aware of what kinds of things some of the information you saw in the presentation today is included in that, like how to work with individuals with vision loss, how to develop relationships with other entities. Maybe it's a county or city senior center, and they need to learn how to provide better services for their consumers who are aging with vision loss. So we do other aspects on the national level as well as the local level too.
That's really cool. And we've been focusing on issues around transportation kind of throughout the year. Is the information for the Tech It Out, should they go to the Outlook Enrichment website?
Yes. Yeah, and an individual just register for it. They'll get the Zoom information, and then Mickey and I will be presenting on the websites. We oftentimes will try to walk them through the site, and we'll point out different things as we see it. We'll also, we entered into a relationship with Moby that would say if somebody is having difficulty due to their vision accessing the information, that they could contact us and we would provide additional assistance on learning how to use the app. And those would be one-on-one sessions at no cost to the individual.
Very nice. Any other questions from the members? No?
Thank you so much for everything you shared here today. I guess I kind of feel like maybe you already answered this. I'm Rachel, by the way, sorry. But is there anything else that like we could take away as, you know, if there is anyone watching who maybe isn't, you know, doesn't have anyone in their life that's part of the visually impaired or legally blind community, anything that those individuals could do to just help to advocate for the community?
There's always challenges with any disability. And many of the things that you as a council will be working on will cross over those boundaries to all people with disabilities. So whether it's a transportation issue or if it's a city website, and is it accessible to the consumers, whether they're using a mouse stick or navigating using the keyboard. There's always things to be aware of, and increasing your knowledge with these presentations like today is really a key point to that, understanding who you're serving and the wide variety of needs, because with anyone working with disabilities, it's not a one size fits all. So expanding your toolkit so that you can be better service providers is really what's important, or better council members, so that you understand the diverse needs of the community is probably by far the most important thing you can walk away from any presentation like this.
Thank you so much for your time and all that information, Paulette. I know like we've all learned different things, and I look forward to having this out in the community for people to learn from. Yeah, I guess if there's no more questions, that's kind of, you're off the hook.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure getting to know you better and the types of things that you work with. And I really enjoyed the pre-discussion about equality and inclusion. So thank you for allowing me to continue to stay on for that part.
Yeah.
I hope you all have a great afternoon. Enjoy this nice weather while we have it. And then if you know of somebody who would benefit from services, please feel free to refer them to Outlook.
Awesome. Thanks, Paulette. Okay, that was pretty awesome. So we have really no old business. New business we kind of touched on in the pre-meeting. We've been talking about, there were several members of the Mayor's Commission for Citizens with Disabilities that we attended a recent emergency disaster management preparedness training focused on disability awareness, offered by Niagara University out of Niagara, New York. I think they're in Niagara. But gave us a lot of really useful information and tools around all of the considerations that have to go into city municipalities, I guess, planning for all types of disasters and making sure that the needs of citizens with a wide range of disabilities are included in the process, and that everyone has an individual access to creating an individual plan. We, as I've been talking about how, so myself and Lisa and Laura and then Gerald and Kat were all in attendance, and our hope is that as a commission we'll be able to come together and figure out how we can take that information and use it to get the information out there and some actionable things in the community for individuals to, both individuals, but then also different entities in the community that play a role in that disaster management planning. And there's some upcoming meetings with the emergency management department that'll kind of help guide that. So yeah, anything you want to add, Lisa, to kind of what it was, what we're trying to do, anything I missed?
I think what was great is we learned about how to help prepare and how to help individuals who identify with having access and functional needs prepare for an emergency. So just being able to work with the city coordinator and figure out how to establish town hall meetings or opportunities to share that with the community is really exciting to be able to do that. And so that was my big takeaway, was something that we can actually give back to the community and help them in a pretty powerful way, an empowering way.
Yeah, I agree. So more to come on that in the future. Any other items, Rachel or Stephanie or Lisa, in kind of new business to address any issues you've received information on from the community members, or anything you've experienced that we should put on the radar?
Nothing from me.
Not at the moment.
I think the only feedback that I have gotten is regarding individuals in the community and the use of safe holds, and a need to maybe raise community awareness on what is appropriate and what is not, and what is ethical and what is not. And so I did bring that to Gerald when we were together at the meeting, at the training last week, to just say that those are some current concerns from the community that had been brought in to me.
Yes, I thank you for bringing that up. And I think that's something as the within our commission's role and scope too, to talk about and figure out if there are training opportunities or information that we can push out to help community members, but also the businesses serving community members, to just increase that level of inclusion. Nothing that I can share now that I know of, but I do think it's something to put on our discussion agenda for the future, I guess. Any activity announcements? I'm really excited about the Tech It Out topic this month, because I really think that with the challenges in in transportation that we've been talking about, having something tangible to present on utilizing that app to try to increase the accessibility of the public transit system will be really valuable. But any other announcements for activities from you all? Nope, I got 3 heads shaking at me. Okay, well, we're a little bit early, but thank you to our sign language interpreter Pamela for today, and Cox Communications for taping and broadcasting on Channel 18 every Tuesday evening. Again, also available on the YouTube channel. Our next meeting is scheduled for October 25th, 2021. We start at 3:30. And if there are no last minute comments, then we are officially adjourning. Thank you all.
Thank you, Megan.
Recording stopped.